Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. I had a lot of fun watching wrestling here live on the channel yesterday. I uploaded 3 videos about the best of Hulk Hogan, the early years, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant versus the Macho Man, and the Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 5, and WrestleMania 6. Today I'm going to be firing up WrestleMania 7, Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter. Hulk would stay in the WWF for 2 more years, but I would debate you. This is probably Hogan's last big match in the company. It's a WrestleMania main event, WrestleMania 8. He got the main event slot against Sid. That's debatable if he really deserved to be in there. Flair versus Macho for the WWF Championship is way down on the card. Definitely the best match of the night. Even Piper versus Brett for the Intercontinental title was a really, really good match. I don't think that needed to be in the main event spot, but it did need to be higher on the card than what it was. But WrestleMania 9, of course, he wrestles in a tag team match. That's not going to be in the main event, but he, cashes in the first ever Money in the Bank briefcase that he stole from Ted DiBiase early in the night, comes down and just beats Yokozuna. People thought it was supposed to be setting up Bret Hart at SummerSlam that year, and Bret just says, "That don't work for me, brother." And, they end up having to do the Yokozuna rematch at the King of the Ring. That was a whole, big deal. Once they hit the King of the Ring, when they found out that Hogan wasn't going to do business. And they just were like, what the heck are we doing? Most of the Hogan guard of the 80s had left, and Hogan really didn't have anybody in his corner. And I think Vince knew that the writing was on the wall, that it was done. After this, I think I'm going to go into watching some WCW, but I'm kind of scared because I'll tell you the truth, I didn't watch the early WCW pay-per-views. I don't think I've ever seen the Hogan vs. Flair matches in WCW. I can't even think off the top of my head, what the first one is. But this match right here, Sergeant Slaughter just came down. I remember I talked about the way they slided the Macho Man Randy Savage at WrestleMania 5, having him come out first. Sergeant Slaughter and General Adnan just came down to the ring, as champion, coming out first. So Hogan's going to be coming out here. Hulkamania lives forever. Signs in the crowd. Sean Mooney sounds like he's going crazy. Here comes Hulk coming down to the ring. Hulk's got the, I'm not sure if it's red, white, and blue. He's definitely got a blue bandana with yellow, a blue bandana with white stars on it. Of course, right now we're riding high on Operation Desert Storm. That started, I think, the same night of the Royal Rumble 1991, and I think that's why they went into war mode of USA versus Iraq to be the build-up to, WrestleMania. The only thing is, I think a few weeks before WrestleMania happened, Operation Desert Storm ended. I mean, we still had troops over in the Middle East that we needed to bring home, but them doing a whole us versus Iraqi storyline kind of really didn't make sense. I mean, you had to play it through. You're already this far into the whole deal. But definitely people didn't want to go to L.A. There's Macaulay Culkin right there sitting. I don't know who that blonde is. They got a celebrity at ringside ringing the bell. I don't even know who she is. But the whole storyline here is before the Tito Santana versus the Mountie match, which is the match before the main event. Slaughter has a promo where he basically is playing the chicken shit heel, and he just flat out says that, hey, if I take a count out, you might win this match, but I'm still the champion. You might have win this match, but I'm the winner in this altogether. And I think it's just trying to, play up on the Iraqi thing about them, not being good fighters. But I remember everything that led up to this. This is 1991. I am 11 years old. No, I guess I'd be 10 years old, dumbass. But I I bit this hook, line, and sinker. I'll tell you the truth. I knew who Sergeant Slaughter was. I knew that he was a wrestler. I don't think I had ever seen him wrestle. I just knew of him, maybe from magazines or something like that. And I definitely knew him from like G.I. Joe, the cartoon. And when he came in and he turned heel, it definitely was a big deal. I, to this day, have heard in interviews that it's because of the G.I. Joe money that Vince wanted it, and Sergeant Slaughter didn't want to give it up. He knew he didn't have to, so he just signed with the G.I. Joe, and then I think he went to go wrestle for the AWA, and even though he wasn't in the WWF, I think he was coming out better on the long run, so he was fine with it. But, once that kind of dried up, that's when he went back to Vince, and they pitched this storyline. Bruce Pritchard has famously talked about this was supposed to be Hulk Hogan versus the turned heel Tugboat. We're basically at SummerSlam 1990. Earthquake, flattened Hogan. He went off to go make Suburban Commando. The whole time, Tugboat was there, saying that, Hogan was his friend, even though we had never seen them together. And he was there selling the Hulkamania friendship bracelets and telling you to mail in your postcards and this, that, the other. And then Tugboat gets injured. I can't remember if it was by Earthquake or somebody else. It might have been at Survivor Series. And I think the whole storyline was that he's going to come back and say that Hogan was never there for him. That, nobody was in his corner, and that's why he became the Iraqi sympathizer. I think they were going to go with almost the same storyline. Who knows what it would have been if Fred Ottman would have been a WrestleMania main eventer. I know that this is definitely a huge exclamation point on Sergeant Slaughter's career. Big time. But I know everything that led up to this. I remember being at my mom's house, and I was actually texting with Jim today. Jim Nye 888, or formerly Jim Nye 686, I think as most people will know him as. He made a video last night. I think he was watching some Hulkamania matches as well. And, we were just kind of texting this morning as I was getting into work. And I was talking about the Royal Rumble 1991. I watched it at my mom's house. She had cable. But in the days of digital cable, there was just a pay-per-view channel, which I think was either 97, I think 98 and 99 were the porno channels. But the way cable worked back in the day is they didn't have a way to turn it on and off. They only had a way to turn on and off the video component, so they sort of screened everything. Hey, that chalk line style jacket, whatever they called them back in the day, Matt Lorenzo has that up on his wall. I'm jealous of him having that in his collection. I don't even know if that's his size or if he just saw it and bought it, but I'd be doing the same thing, and I think it looks pretty good on his wall. I don't know if I would wear that Hogan jacket if I had it or not, but it almost looks like a Letterman style, but I think it's really thin stuff on the outside. The chalk line jackets, I've always wanted one, and kind of jealous when I go to shows and see people wearing them, but I just never really see a design that is cool. I don't think I want the big faces all over it is what it kind of always steers me away. But I remember being at my mom's house. We had the pay-per-view channel on, and we just viewed it as WWF radio, which I don't even think kids today would understand. That You could listen to the pay-per-view, you just couldn't see it. For wrestling, for boxing, it work if you had it like imagination, I guess you can say, and you had to like kind of follow what they were saying. It was almost like listening to it on the radio, like you were listening to a baseball game or a football game. But um, I don't think the kids today would understand. And like, uh, we had Macho Man run in, nail Ultimate Warrior with the scepter, and then Sergeant Slaughter was able to get the win and become the new WWF champion. I was so confused. I didn't know how much $30 was back in the day, but I wanted to pay the money just to turn the audio on because I felt like the ring announcer made a mistake or something like that. Like no way in the world the Ultimate Warrior would lose. And then we listened as Hogan went on to win the Rumble. Um, we understand now why Hogan's Rumble was the main event, but Slaughter beating Warrior definitely should have been the main event, and they wouldn't add the stipulation of the winner of the Royal Rumble going to WrestleMania to fight the champion until Yokozuna. I think that's 93 leading into or maybe that's 94 leading into WrestleMania 9. But Hogan just goes in the back and he just says he's doing it for the troops. He can't believe that the title's in the hands of the enemy. And just, he basically just says he's going to fight Sarge at WrestleMania. And I think they end up taking like the promo pictures that night. And that's why when you look at the pictures, Slaughter still has the purple belt that they had for the Ultimate Warrior, the custom leather on there, and that's why it stands out. I think it makes the picture pop on Slaughter. It almost works for him, honestly, to tell you the truth. But not a ton of build-up on the way to this. I only really remember Slaughter beating up Hacksaw Jim Duggan on the show, and Hulk Hogan coming out to like break it up. And then for some reason, we got a match of General Adnan, who is a real wrestler on the outside. I can't remember if he's from Saudi Arabia or Iraq, but he is from the Middle East. And he had a match against Hogan, horrible. Sergeant Slaughter ran in, caused a disqualification, and they beat up Hulk and left him laying there in the middle of the ring. But the one thing that you remember more than anything else is Sergeant Slaughter lighting the Hulk Rules t-shirt with the lighter fluid, and it just going up in smoke. And I'm sure he did that like on a wrestling challenge or a wrestling superstars back in the day. But I mean, in people's minds, I'm sure I'm not the only one, he might as well lit the American flag. Like, I know that Jesse Ventura tells the story is he was telling Vince that they made it where it wasn't a crime to burn the flag. It was you showing your freedom of expression. But I think, Vince got scared, didn't want to go that far because, I mean, they already had people like Bob Costas sign on to do something for WrestleMania, whether it was color commentary or something like that. But he backed out because he thought it was bad, publicity, the way they were using the war to monetize it with wrestling, even though wrestling has always been about that the whole time, whether if it's been the Russians or whether if it's been the Japanese guys. I mean, what do you think it means? Like when the guys are saying like pull the Pearl Harbor, talking about the sneak attack and things like that. But Hogan's working Slaughter over. He's pretty much had his number the whole day. I wonder when the Iron Sheik comes back. He must be just to build up SummerSlam 91 and the match made in hell, just to make it a 3-on-2 match, so it's not just Adnan and Slaughter against, the dream team of Hogan and Warrior. Just the impression of 3-on-2, means a whole bunch. Even though we've already, I mean, they never called him the Iron Sheik, but you could tell he was the Iron Sheik. If one was General Adnan, What was the Shiki baby's name? I can't remember. Slaughter's wearing the curly boots that he said was, sent to him from Saddam Hussein himself as a present. They say that Heenan's saying that there's a new Hulk Hogan, but this is not extreme. But Hulk is going to the top rope. And I can't ever remember him really ever going to the top. And now he's doing the Ric Flair spot where Sarge comes underneath and, press slams him off the top as Adnan holds on to his ankle. So he wasn't able to, perform his move. Hulk, you don't need to ever be on the top rope ever in your career. But, the one big thing about WrestleMania 7 that most people remember is that, WrestleMania 6, they announced WrestleMania 7, I'm pretty sure, and they, make it seem like it's going to be in the LA Coliseum. That, of course, is the Coliseum that they built for LA to host the Olympics. It's got to hold 100,000 people. It's going to be the biggest WrestleMania of all time. I mean, WrestleMania 7, you got Hogan. You got Slaughter. You got Warrior. You got Savage. Brett's there, but he's wrestling as the Hart Foundation. Sean's there. He's as the Rockers. I mean, they have name value, but you got to kind of dig deep and give people an extra star on their rating. If they were going to sell out the Coliseum, they were going to do it on Hulk's name and pretty much Hulk's name alone. Jim says that, that we were in sort of a recession at the time because of the war. People were scared, and that's why they weren't out buying tickets and traveling. I know that, WWF had their own, travel team. They probably sold it to somebody, and you could just call up and say you wanted to go to WrestleMania. And I think they booked you a flight, got you a hotel and a ticket. I mean, I never did it. It definitely wasn't anything like it was when I went to WrestleMania 28 and we bought our first travel package then. I'm sure it wasn't even done in-house. I'm sure it was done by a separate company. But Slaughter is working over the back ever since Hogan went off the top rope. Sarge has been in control, and he's working him over. I'm surprised at this point right now, unless Slaughter really believes as a character that he thinks he's going to win, why isn't he going out and getting his flag and just choking Hogan with the flag? Because he openly said in his pre-match promo that he doesn't care if he's counted out. He doesn't care if he's disqualified. That's his whole plan, is that not to beat Hulk Hogan, but to laugh in Hogan's face when he's not the champion. But he must have got confidence from something, because he's just beating him down. But I think where they end up doing this is the LA Sports Coliseum or something like that. And I think it's less than 20,000 people in there that they had to, rearrange everybody who had bought tickets for the Coliseum. You never really hear anybody come out and say that when the show got moved, they got bumped. They're like, hey, we had WrestleMania tickets, and then they told us we couldn't come because they moved people around. But, I mean, the superfan is there, definitely front row. You see him a ton. His buddy that was in the documentary with him, that's his lifelong friend, is sitting with him. They're good. Macaulay Culkin has got a ringside seat in the corner. Everybody has seen those pictures. He was such a huge star at the time. I wonder how many people they had sitting around him as just sort of security, or if they just put him down there. In those days, because nobody had phones, I'm sure people had cameras, but I don't think there was a long line of people wanting to get a ticket or a picture with Macaulay. Their front row, almost right in the middle again, is Donald Trump. I don't know why he's there other than being, I guess, Vince McMahon's friend or something like that. But I know that his seat sat empty for a big portion of the show, and I've heard that talked about a lot. So that might be why you don't see Trump at WrestleMania sitting front row anymore after this one. Slaughter's going to the top. He has wiped the sweat off his brow and flicked it at the referee. He just like straight came down with the bottom of his boot on Hogan's back. I don't even know what that was. Now General Adnan is up on the ring and he's distracting the ref as Slaughter has Hogan covered for the pin. He's yelling at him to just turn around, but the ref's telling him to get down. If he would have jumped down a minute ago, Slaughter would have had that pin. That's Adnan's fault. If I'm Slaughter, I'm grabbing that chair and I'm going after Adnan. When I went to WrestleMania this year, Sergeant Slaughter was there, and I got to meet Sarge. It was honestly the third time that I've met him. I met him at SummerSlam Access twice. 2 years in a row. 1 year with Roddy Piper, 1 year by himself. But Sarge was awesome. I mean, he's pretty much a full-time picture and autograph guy. I don't know, like full-time convention worker, I guess you could say. And I definitely paid him a good deal of money. I got put in the I forget what they call it. The Cobra Clutch Club, I think is what it was. You get a picture, an autograph. You pay extra to get the coin. But he was a good dude, man. Good dude. He looks young here, honestly. You know, a lot of guys, you look and see that they're starting to get older. Sarge has got, like, the bald head. But, like, when you look at his mustache, his beard, he looks young in the face, honestly. Oh, Hogan's bleeding from the face. He's got the Cobra Clutch locked on. This looks like a Mania where he just looks overmatched. Where he just got beat down. This is one that you can believe that he's going to lose, honestly. Especially as bloody as Hulk is. I think this is probably the most bloody we've seen Hulk. Kind of crazy because the next year, WrestleMania 8, they're in Indiana, in the Hoosier Dome. And that's the match where I think Flair and Savage get in trouble for having blood during the match. But Piper and Brett lie about doing it the hard way. And Brett's so good at it that Brett gets color and doesn't get fined. It's just a different, 1 year later in a different company. But Hulk is bleeding buckets in the ring right here. That LJN yesterday, that was just crazy. I don't know how to fit that in, but I bought the Dusty, the Logan Paul, the Cena. I didn't really think anything of it. I knew there was a Hogan one coming, but didn't know he was part of Series 1. Makes a ton of sense that he is, especially when Series 2 has already been announced, and it's like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh. But the Hogan's gone. I'm sure that I'll get it. It's just going to be a matter of, like, once it gets released, if I can find it in a store, or if I got to, wait, because the second-hand market, when it comes out, is probably going to be huge. It's just kind of like telling myself to let it die down. And even if you got to wait a while, pick it up, because it ain't going nowhere. But that is a line that I would... Oh, the big leg! There it was! 2, 3. Slaughter kicked out, but Hulk got the 3. I wonder if that was Slaughter trying to protect himself. Now, I know they go on a house show loop after this. Desert Storm matches, just, no DQ, kind of street fight kind of deals. They go to SummerSlam. They do the match made in hell, which is Hogan and Warrior against the triple threat of Slaughter, Adnan, and the Iron Sheik. Warrior gets fired there. I think after SummerSlam 91 is when Sergeant Slaughter goes on the, I Need to Fix This tour. Him and Hacksaw start teaming up. And he apologizes in front of the Mount Rushmore. Hogan from here is champ. But he's going to hold it until Survivor Series, where he drops it to Undertaker. Undertaker drops it back to Hogan, but then they put it up on the line at the Rumble, where Flair wins it. Flair versus Macho. Then we also do Sid versus Hogan. So we're at the tail end of Hulkamania. I think I think the Undertaker versus Hogan match would be bigger at Survivor Series if Hulk doesn't win it right back at Tuesday in Texas, just days later. But from here, I'm sure I'm going into WCW to watch something. Just a matter of looking them up on Wikipedia and finding out what it's going to be. But Hulk must pose. He's hulking up. Getting everybody the thumbs up. That was a good Hogan match right there. That was a really good Hogan match where you really believed he was beat down and there was no way for him to do it. And he dug down deep, and you got to believe it was for us, as little Hulkamaniacs, that he wasn't going to walk out there without the championship. Adnan and Slaughter hit the bricks. They're done. Oh! Somebody just threw the American flag into the ring, and Hulk used it to wipe the blood off. It's not the American flag that he brought to the ring with him. That one's sitting in the corner behind him. But just a fan has a USA flag with the Hogan's blood all over it. That's weird. But somebody brought a Hulkamania, it's the size of a sheet almost, or maybe even not blinds, but things that go over your windows, whatever the hell those things are called. Hogan's the best, man. Hogan did it Hogan's huge. Hogan's really, really awesome. This is in my wheelhouse right here. WrestleMania 7, Hogan vs. Slaughter.